I'm ready to punch on some people in the 1920s.
Oh, yes, sir.
Man.
Well,
All right.
I guess 1930s.
It was 1920s.
Nick in the 30s.
1922, I think.
22, yeah.
No, I'm talking about Nick, like when he's talking to the...
like whenever he's talking to the...
He said it was 3 years ago.
When he's in the
didn't he? Or 4 years ago?
sanitarium.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years. It's
I
still
thought
in
it
the
was
20s,
3
I think.
years ago.
When he's in the sanitarium.
That was good.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the Effin' Movie Podcast. Today, we've got Mason, Dylan, Price, and me, Nathan. And we are going to be talking about The Great Gatsby.
It's true.
The choice of Mason down there on the far end. Does anybody want to go over the gist of this?
You started
story?
it. You pick the one who has to
tell the
talk
story,
about it.
yeah.
Well,
You gotta pick.
I think in honor of trading places, Dylan, would you like?
I like it.
All right. So let me describe the OK Gatsby. And that's
The average Gatsby.
the just maybe passable Gatsby. So it's a very, I'll give a very summed up version. So Tobey Maguire who is not being Spider-Man in this movie.
It looked a lot like Spider-Man, though.
There's a lot of green screen in this one. So he moves up to Long Island, New York, a little section, and whatever. So he goes up there. He was originally a writer, and he's like, well, I'm going to get in the stock market. Stock market's booming. This is set in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm going to be filthy rich real quick.
I'm gonna sell bonds.
Yeah, I'm going to sell bonds. I'm going to make all this good money. And then he lives next door. Like, he lives in this really rich neighborhood with, like, this little shed. And then next door is, like...
he's, like, living in the gardener's van.
Yeah. Well, it's a very nice gardener shed, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
It's extravagant gardener
It's a
shed.
normal house in these parts.
It looks as good as my house. So that's not a slight to my house. My house is pretty good, but that's beside the point.
Well,
So
there's not a demon in his house, though.
fair. So anyway, next door is a giant mansion where Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, resides. I'll give it back to him. Anyway, so Tobey Maguire's cousin lives across the way. He goes over there and he's like, "Hey, you're cool, blah blah." He's like this jock dude, always banging other chicks.
No, his cousin is the wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. So
That is important.
Yeah, so the cousin is also a former love interest to Gatsby, and it becomes this fun little love triangle story where it's the Tobey Maguire getting his cousin to get away from her husband, who's played by Joel Edgerton.
Mm-hmm.
That's relevant. And it kind of plays out from there. So it's
And then Joel Edgerton is stepping out on his wife, which everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody knows that he's banging
And
Isla Fisher's character.
He has a history of doing
Yeah,
He has a history.
Does it many times, like even whenever she was giving birth. So yeah, it's a high-scale love story. It kind of feels like a worse Casablanca. That's the version that I will decide to summarize it as. Lots of rich parties, and Gatsby's extravagant, and you kind of unravel this mystery of the Gatsby while they're going through this love story. That pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go first.
Go for it.
As soon as this scene happened, it was like minute 20 or 25 or something when they had that stupid party in the apartment and they blared at like a million max volume that I Can't Stop song.
There it is.
Flux Pavilion?
Yeah.
I was dying. Okay, because later in the movie, like they do like a kind of like modern song with like 20s kind of infusion, and like it was really neat. Like I really liked that.
That was fine.
But that I Can't Stop, I was dying. I texted this idiot because that's the idiot who picked it. And I was like, I can't stand this music. I'm already writing it off. And then Jay-Z's playing later in the movie all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Jay-Z and Beyonce are all in
Beyonce's in it. Fergie, Will.i.am.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of this. Okay, I will meet you halfway. The I Can't Stop song. I forgot that was in there until it was playing.
I don't need you to meet me anywhere. I'm where I'm at. I will be alone on that.
Out of every song that was in this movie, that one fit the least.
Yeah, that one aged
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
terrible.
I found it funny every time.
There you go. You have that back.
I found that funny every time that modern music would start playing. Like, I got a kick out of it. It didn't bother me the same way that it bothered you, but I do agree that it probably would have played better to have music that was more that fusion. Like, I think it's cool to, like, have this movie and have modern music.
And they did some of that.
Kind of a modern
with
that
a fusion of the music of the era would have been a better choice.
Much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This director,
oh gosh, I forget his name.
I looked it up, but I don't know his
I've
name.
since forgotten, and we slapped his phone away, so we're not going to know him.
It is fascinating, the like style of direction that he does. The beginning of this movie is fast. fast and intense, and it's just like cut. Just
Tobey Maguire
moving.
is instantly in all of these situations without even having to be anywhere.
And he's just like a limp rag, just like hanging around, just like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
now. Well, I'm here.
Like
now.
I looked the director up
I did too.
specifically because I was like, okay, does this guy do music videos?
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like this guy does music videos
Yeah.
and not movies. But he actually had done Moulin Rouge as well.
Yes,
and,
burlesque and all.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. And until we get into the later half of this movie, I would say I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Price's Point again too, because if he didn't make it, I was going to. That is the very first moment I'm just like, nope. What are you doing with this movie? I'm like, this is a movie set in the 1920s, and I'm hearing dubstep, which would have been appropriate at it, which is still like
Still not really appropriate.
2 or 3 years past its time by the time this movie drops. So
Yeah.
all of that was jarring. Again, to that same beat though, when they did that like the more modern takes of old style music and stuff like that.
Swing.
Yeah, it
I
was
like that.
updated hip swing. I thought that was good. I was like, good. The movie should keep its tone throughout that whole time.
And
But
I just do want to say the
Yeah.
director is Baz Luhrmann?
Yeah.
Baz
Right?
Luhrmann.
I couldn't
Oh, we
say
totally
that.
Luhrmann.
that.
Yeah.
Give me a couple more minutes. I would.
Yeah. No, that's not
Yeah.
true. So
Hasn't directed a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
but Moulin Rouge and this are definitely
It's
some
very similar.
they've
Yeah.
got the same.
if you
kind
told
of-
me the director of Moulin Rouge did this movie, I'd be like, I see that.
Yeah.
But man, Moulin Rouge is much more up his alley. Where this one needed to kind of have a steady tone. This movie doesn't, to my understanding at least. Now, granted, I've never read the book. I'm not a big Gatsby. I didn't read it in like high school whenever I was supposed to. Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't have to either. So
I did.
So
Oh,
Oh, I'm the only one.
Oh, so you're the-
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, sure,
It's very
but
faithful.
how do you feel like this movie is faithful to the book?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
What was it? There's some other points on here. Oh yeah, for a movie that's set in the 1920s, like it's like modernized in the movie a lot.
It's modernized way too much
You know
to
what
be
I
in the
mean?
20s.
Like
yeah,
one of the things, like one of the particular things I remember was when I can't remember who they're talking about Tom Buchanan gave his like a lady, like his mistress something, and it was worth, and I quote, $500,000.
Yeah.
In the 1920s, you could
That's-
fill this house with $500,000. Like
Yeah.
what that could get you.
That's a grotesque amount of money
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like use currency like in that time. Like how much it really would have been. Like maybe 500 or something. That's still a ton of money.
So, do you have any idea if that was something that was in the book? That
No,
specific
that exact
mention?
No,
money.
no,
So
I
that
don't
was
remember
just
that
something
well.
completely
No, but
fabricated.
like he did like buy her things and stuff like that a lot. It's just that amount. It was like it's like the director thinks the audience isn't smart enough to know like he got a really expensive piece of
He got
jewelry
her
and it was only
$5,000
and it was
piece.
only
You know,
$1,000.
I do see that might have been what they thought. That they thought
Yeah.
the audience isn't going to see the value of this if we have it set in 1920s.
Which I think that's looking down on the audience, which I hate.
Yeah, I don't often agree with. I don't even know if I'd call that pretentious more so than it's just degrading. Like,
It is.
Yeah, it's that vibe to begin with where they think that
It's like they're talking down to you.
right. The director felt like from that moment of the music onwards, I think the very on theme for this whole movie feels like I'm gonna make a movie set in the 1920s, but I want it to feel as little about the 1920s as physically possible, except for the occasional racism or the guy playing the trumpet up there on the thing.
That
That
was
whole
weird.
first
That was
weird
cool.
During that
neighborhood
party?
orgy
I enjoyed
party
it.
thing.
Yeah,
was happening.
that was
Yeah.
so weird.
I liked
though.
that.
I'm talking about the
I don't know why.
Again, the whole beginning of this movie, I really enjoyed. I loved
Yes.
the extremely fast-paced everything.
Mhm.
Like it felt like just a whirlwind of stuff happening all around you,
Yeah.
and it was eye candy the entire
really
way through. It
was.
was very beautiful,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy that in movies. It slowing down towards the latter half is really where it started to lose me a little bit.
Yeah, it very much it comes in and it does this very entertaining, fast-paced thing, which did a lot for the first hour. I remember looking at the timer and being like, right around hour 10, the pace and everything had started slowing down, and everything felt like. My first initial thoughts on it was like, man, the first hour of this, I'm actually pretty entertained. I don't think this is super good. The music is really jarring, but the first hour feels really good. And then the second hour hit, and I'm like, they showed their hand. They showed their hand very early.
Well,
Like,
I think it was supposed to be this like, all right, we got to bring everyone into this world. We got to get them into it, get them, having fun, and then I'll agree that Leonardo DiCaprio and Joel Edgerton, whenever it was really hot and they were all in that room, they were in that room for, I swear to you, 20 minutes. Of
Felt
this
like
movie.
it, yeah.
That was a long piece, and then after that, like the whole car scene, and then him dying, and then all. That, I think, didn't have to be drawn out as much as it was,
Mhm.
but you do have to lose a little bit of steam, I think.
Yeah.
Sure, and I feel like they wanted you to kind of follow the slowing down tone and pace of this, like, emotionally.
Yeah.
I think this director was, like, really excited about a certain part of this film.
And then he was
And
just
then
like,
remembered, I've still got to tell the rest of this story,
I've got
though.
the- I've got
Otherwise,
the-
it's not the Great Gatsby.
you're saying 70% of the budget went to the
First
first
hour.
half,
Yeah.
and
He
then
just wanted
30%.
to throw a lavish party.
He wanted to
and
do
film
all the
it.
parties, and then that was it. And then he was
I get
hungover
that.
for the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
and the tone
He
matches
was
his
real
mindset.
bummed out when he got through, like, halfway through Gatsby, trying to figure out how he was going to do it, and realized Gatsby stops having parties at some point.
Yeah, he falls
It's
in
like,
love with
yeah.
the lady.
So you all see another thing I really didn't like about this movie was the grotesque amount of green screen usage. I thought like
It was jarring.
I
how
was
much
trying to
it
think
was.
like, did the Avengers use more green screen or did Great Gatsby? Because man, the whole time like it just had this sheen over everything
Yeah,
that I did not
You
like.
could even see it in the screen, like you're
Yeah.
like, that's bad
So,
green screen
yes.
too. Like,
I think whenever I have a couple like bad notes on this movie, this movie felt cheesy with the way that they did some of the scenes, whether it was them driving, whether it was them,
Oh yeah.
you know, in the mansions or out front and all this stuff, and it's just, I don't know. It did seem cheesy, which is why whenever you said something earlier about Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire in some of these scenes, I could have sworn that this movie was made in like 2002.
no, it feels a lot like it, which I think in the reasoning for bringing Tobey Maguire into that is 100% it fits. I don't blink
Maybe.
at Tobey Maguire being kind of cheesy. Like he
Yeah.
he nails kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
But then when I see Leonardo DiCaprio in here, I'm like, and he won't stop saying, "Oh boy," and I'm like, "All right, that's getting
No,
really
it's,
annoying."
old
And,
chap.
old chap. Yeah.
No, it's old sport.
It's old
Oh,
sport.
right.
Yeah.
What? Literally, it's so bad we all forgot and we
Yeah.
couldn't. Old
I
something.
don't know how he says.
I don't know how.
He
we
says it like
forgot.
100
I don't
times
either.
too. I know.
So much.
Old chap. But God, every time I heard it, I was just like, the score drops every time I hear it. There's another. There's another.
Mhm.
That's another point one.
Another.
Over and over.
I just remember when you were talking about the car ride, like the climax, you know, where like they're driving on the way back, and when you see them hit the woman, and then they keep on going, I was like, wow, that really kind of hits. And then later, like you have Gatsby and Nick arguing with each other, and he's like he let slip that girl hit her, and then it goes through the whole scene again, and you have to watch it with how it actually happened. Like, why do you have to keep talking down to us? Like get the pacifier out of my face.
They
I
forgot.
don't
They
need
forgot
this.
about this scene. Let me replay it.
Oh my
Like,
gosh! Like, just tell me that she was driving. That emotional impact will still stick with me, or show her like dealing with the aftermath of it. Don't show me. I don't need to see what happened again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man, I was just like, hey, man, it did not hold my attention. I was on my phone during the movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I tried not to.
This
during
was
movies.
not. You didn't have to be fully invested into this movie to keep up with it. I think it was pretty quick. I do like one of the points I do like, just trying to move this thing along. Leonardo DiCaprio's passion towards Daisy in this movie is
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
jarring almost, because he
Agreed.
wants one thing. He would trade every bit of wealth or fake wealth that he has
Right.
for Daisy. He would up and move. He would up and go to prison for her, die for her. Obviously, at the end, like. That's why, like, I kind of justify that part with whenever they're all in the apartment and they're yelling at each other and glasses and everything like that. So, I don't know. I do like the passion that he has for it.
Yeah, that's that scene where like he's in the like it's going to that flashback with like him in his army suit and talking to her.
Yeah.
I was like, whew.
Yeah.
He gives me those eyes. I'm gonna be thinking something.
Right. I would. That's one of the more redeeming qualities of this movie. Besides just the lavishness of it all, like that's all entertaining and all.
Leo and Edgerton carry this movie.
Leo and Edgerton
hard.
carry it on their shoulders, but Leo being believably in love with Daisy in this whole thing, like
It's the whole crux of the movie.
yeah, I buy that chemistry, which I think is fine. But so the thing that makes this movie fall apart to me, and this is as explained to me from my wife because she read that book probably a couple times in high school,
Yeah.
was that the overall message of the book was supposed to be that the American dream is dead.
Hmm.
So that totally doesn't translate at all to this movie.
Oh, no.
Not even a little bit. This movie is trying to be a much more modern, much worse Casablanca in a way. This is a love story that's supposed to have all this mystery and intrigue set in the 20s.
Mhm.
While it's supposed to be about this. And I'm like, hearing that and then seeing that they did this movie and then made it like a tragic love story instead of
Yeah.
what it was supposed to be.
A
I'm like,
flashy.
right,
tragic
a very
love story.
flashy one. I'm like, wow. I feel like they just totally missed the point, and that's like
Yeah, the other thing I wonder too is it seems like this movie and this story was conceived in a way as to like be like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
And, like full of surprise and stuff. When it's based on a book that most people have read in high school.
It's true.
So like I assume that the ending is pretty close to what's in the book, right?
That's exactly that.
Yeah. So nothing about this comes as a surprise to most people. To us, because we haven't read it.
Yeah.
But most people have read this book, so I don't understand why that was the angle that they tried to take, because they made it so much about like the betrayal of him and like just I don't know. I feel like it's just focusing on the wrong things about the book.
I come back to the idea that I want to do the research and see just how high the director was whenever he was doing this, because he was partying on set with all these people.
Oh.
He has to be in the background several times.
I think, you're just enveloped in the party if you're shooting all of these scenes, which is fine. Those were the scenes. Can we agree that those were pretty cool scenes?
No, those are.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're paying attention to this movie, it's those scenes.
That was the best parts of the movie.
Yeah,
that was
I
the
think,
stuff that
I think those are the
like,
high points.
That had me in, and was like, this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to rate this movie really high.
And then.
And then the party
And
stopped,
then-
and that's a very clear description of how I feel about the second half of the movie. Like
At 45 minutes in, the party stopped.
right,
Yeah.
just. But yeah, I guess we can get into the shape and size of this movie.
I
Yeah,
think we're good.
yeah. Going to our next segment. Thin, thick, perfectly fit. I had to slow it down. I got it right that
You got
time,
it.
which is a shame.
Yeah.
If you know these segments, you know the movie's thin, then there's not a lot to it. You kind of wish maybe it was a little bit more. If it's thick, it's fat. It's a movie that goes on for too long. It overstays its welcome. You'd be cutting stuff if you were an editor. Perfectly fit. The movie matches its runtime perfectly. There's not a lot that you would edit or change. Mason, lead
This
the way.
movie is perfectly fit. Okay, I'm just no. Just kidding. No, this movie is definitely fat. If I had to shave off some parts, trying to think about it now. He does not need to be narrating this movie. I understand that that's probably the book's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to who was the dude at the very beginning?
Like a
psychiatrist.
Okay,
Yeah.
you could almost shave that part off and have it in real time, because like I understand.
I
like
don't think that ever really contributes.
it doesn't do anything.
Not
at the
a
end.
damn
It
thing.
it only gives you a reason for him to be narrating.
It Titanics
because it reminds you that, like, at the beginning it establishes this guy is narrating this,
Mhm.
and that's our justification
For
for
a
having
good
And they could
reason.
leave that from the very beginning until the very
Yeah.
end. But they keep
didn't
cutting
have
to
to
it.
come back to it.
Titanic does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You have old Ruth or whatever telling the tale, so you know that something just grand has happened, something huge, and then she kind of dabbles back in at the end. Like, it works for that. I'm not going to criticize that, but it does not need it in this movie.
That's interesting that you picked Titanic as a comparison, where knowing that Leo both dies underwater by the time of both of these movies.
He dies in both of them.
Ah,
In
spoilers.
Swimming.
Yeah.
So this movie is fat. That's definitely a part I would cut. I think you could shorten up some of those really tense scenes at the end, especially the one whenever they're just like pushing ice on it. Like, I get it, it's hot. You know, it's one of the hottest summers New York's ever had. I get it. Yeah, but I mean, as far as anything else, I guess I'll save the rest for the scores, because I just think this movie didn't have to be 2 hours and 10 or 2 hours and
2:20?
2:20. I thought it was 2:22,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm good.
Yeah, this movie is perfectly fat. There's a very entertaining first hour or so. Honestly, I would cut a lot off this movie. I would cut off most of the second hour. Like, I would probably round it out to maybe hour 30, if I'm being generous. Because the pacing just totally drops off in a way that isn't healthy for the movie. I think it could have, while the first part's supposed to be energetic and fun, and the second part's supposed to have more stakes and stuff, it just really just takes a dip.
It's not healthy for the movie. Like, it's so fat. We need to help it.
No, it's diabetic levels of like heavy breathing in this
It's
part.
having to see the doctor three times a
Yeah.
It's been running, and now it's just like sitting there panting. trying to catch
it's a
its breath.
sweat pool by the time it's all
You're
said
heavy
and done.
breathing throughout the movie.
Right. This is mouthful of cake, not going anywhere. 700-pound size of a movie at this point, but yeah, it's very fat. I would cut off a lot.
Yeah.
Bryce.
What he said. It's so fat.
Yeah.
I would agree with Dylan. Hour and a half. Cut out everything about the sanitarium. Adds nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cut off a lot of the relationship between, I think, Gatsby and Nick, because I think it goes into it way too much. I think you could cut some of it out and still get the picture. But again, the directors wanted to lead you by the bottle and be like, hey, they're good friends. And it's fat.
The Great Gatsby, everybody.
Man, I don't know if I ever really felt like they were good friends. It always seemed like that very awkward kind of forced friendship.
Yeah.
Because Gatsby's trying to use him.
He wanted one thing from Nick. And we all know
he would
what
do
it
anything
was.
for him.
Yes.
Do anything.
So I get
that. I never got the sense that they were genuinely friends at any point.
No.
Well, that's not what I meant. Yeah, they're not.
Nick admires Gatsby, but they never explain that they have an actual real relationship between
them. And it doesn't seem like Nick's like really like trying to like Leo or Gatsby's obviously using him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't care anything for him as a person. But Nick, I mean, I think even he's kind of like, nah. He's cool.
Like he's like, I just
like he does seem to genuinely like Gatsby in the movie. They get that across.
He worshipped him at the very, very beginning. He got an invite. Like he was wanting to meet him. He was wanting to hang out with him, fish, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But as the movie went on, he definitely sort of distanced himself.
Ultimately, I agree. This movie is fat. The latter half of it, I hate that it slows down. Mm-hmm. I was very much on board with a movie that was fast paced the way that the beginning was. Like it could have, I get that like for the psychological side of like making you feel how low things start to get towards the end. That's maybe what they were angling at. But I would have enjoyed this movie quite a bit better if it had just kept moving at that quick pace and gotten me through the whole thing a little bit faster than what it did.
Kind of stayed not choppy, but stayed just with the punches, just left, right, yeah.
I mean, I was fascinated with the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, no,
I was just like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is very interesting. It's a very unusual. Like, I was interested in the director immediately. It was like, I want to know what else this guy's done. Like, this is a lot, and it's pretty, and like, it's all the kind of things that I generally like. Yeah. And I really do like Moulin Rouge quite a bit. And this one I would have probably said I liked quite a bit too if we hadn't have just grinded down so slow towards the end.
And then you spend the whole second half of the movie looking at his other movies to see where can I get the first half of his movies
No,
again?
that is the only real thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at it.
Yeah, well, yeah. At least the things that I've seen, Moulin Rouge and this are the only two.
We also didn't talk about, like, I thought that the Valley of Ash also looked horrible. I thought it looked like so fake. It looked
where
so
they were trying
fake.
to construct.
That random railroad.
It looked so fake.
The area that they just, for some reason, had to drive through all the time.
Well, it's important symbolism for the book.
Oh, sure.
Well, I'm glad they translated that for us in the movie.
But that means nothing. I mean, it's kind of like, you're like, oh, well, this pays homage to this movie or this movie. Like, that doesn't matter if they don't convey it in the movie.
Right.
They really didn't.
No. Homage serving no purpose to the message that's not being delivered is totally wasted on it.
That's not the point. I thought it looked terrible.
I don't mind. Are you talking about like just the actual graphics of it?
Like how they CG'd it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't mind that it was there. Well, like I get it.
Yeah, I don't.
New York.
Because it's showing like the poor side, all that kind of stuff.
I got it.
But
without further ado, let's get into the scores, guys. Nathan, I'll let you lead.
He's taking that post shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Of course I have it.
I hadn't even really considered exactly what number I'm going to peg this thing at.
You want to skip? I know mine.
No, I think for this one I am probably going to say it's probably like a 6.5. I'm so close to giving it a 7. I liked the beginning a lot, but towards the end I was checked out. So I don't know. Like, I could see myself just rewatching the beginning of it sometime in the future, but I'm not going to sit through this whole movie again.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
The beginning of movies are very important for me. Like, they set the tone. That's what you're expecting for the movie. That's what it is. When that I Can't Stop song came on...
I can't stop!
I had a visceral reaction to that. Like, I was like, it's going to have to do a lot to pull me back in. And nothing pulled me back in. Even, like, the fact that Leo and Edgerton, I thought, did great in their respective roles. Everybody else was kind of blah. But even though, like, they crushed it, like, it was not enough to bring this movie back for me and get me back into the movie. So, I was going to give it a 3.5. But, I mean, honestly, I was kind of teetering there. And then everybody else agreed, and I was like, yeah, I know where I land. And I fell down another stair, and I'm going to the 3. I did not enjoy it. It's not to the fault of the actors. I don't think it's the movie, the world, and the director. I
The
did not
execution.
enjoy.
Yeah.
And especially the music. Good lord.
This starts out to be a good movie and really turns out to be a bad movie, and I think that disappointment makes it so much worse for me because you start to see what this movie could have been if they'd kept all the pacing right and all that. I mean, it has Leo, who's one of my favorite actors, Joel Edgerton, who I really like. Well, go watch Warrior.
Watch that movie.
Watch movie instead.
I forgot
Yes.
that he was in this.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, dang, I wonder if he's in this movie a
Right.
lot. He is.
Strangely, Tobey Maguire is actually perfectly cast. I really like Tobey.
Agreed.
Yeah, he did great.
He's
Yeah.
the perfect wet rag.
Peter Parker, I mean, I think he went straight from that into this. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the casting and everything really works in this place, and it still falls apart. And I think you have to do a special kind of mess up to really ruin a movie in that way.
That's what I said.
Yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it a 3 because that's a horrendous score by my rates, but I'm gonna give
By
it.
his rates.
Yeah, I will give it a 6 because I will give it credit for the first hour. I was properly entertained. Things were looking good, and I was looking promisingly hooked. And then they sank my boat.
My favorite boat.
Yeah.
And Leo's in a movie where they do that.
I know.
A lot of
Oh
references.
God. Yeah. So I give it a 6. Mason, let's wrap it home, buddy.
All right, so my final good points about this movie. I cannot talk enough about the music. Okay, so there are a large handful of movies where I have downloaded entire soundtracks and I still listen to them to this day. This very much belongs in that fight.
What?
Yes.
Gotcha.
What?
I promise.
You got me going somewhere else. We're like, this is not one of those movies.
No. This is my final good point. Is the music in this movie kills every other music soundtrack almost, except for a few. But
Well,
I'm telling you, it's so good.
Battery's low.
Come on,
Hold it
do
down.
it.
Battery's low. Hold it down. Hold it down.
Yeah,
Hold me back.
so I highly suggest looking up to the soundtrack. But sadly enough, that is not going to save this score. It's bad when I get to an end of this movie and I was like, I should have picked Shutter Island. And that was my original pick, and I was like, nah, that's just going to kill everyone.
I was telling him to pick that movie. I was like,
Everyone knew
please,
the ending, so I
please.
didn't want to pick it. This movie is a 6 for me. It did have Bryce Lowski in it. He was young Leonardo DiCaprio out on the ship from Flipped.
Oh
He
yeah.
did really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was a great
That was
young
him.
Leo.
Yeah,
He's a good young
I'm glad he
Leo.
found work.
Yeah,
Good for him.
same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a 6 for me. I honestly, I remember this movie being so much better,
So
but that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our episode, guys. We're gonna look into our next week's segment. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten, Price.
No, just because it's going to be a little bit different, because I have 3 movies that I want equally, and I was going to ask you all which one you probably
How
want
you
the
gonna
most.
do my one?
I have the right to make the executive decision, but I'm going to pitch it out there. We got Wolf of Wall Street. It's a long movie.
No.
Long
No.
movie.
Yeah.
Seen it and it's too long.
Got The Departed, which is a Scorsese gangster movie.
I'd
It's
watch
it's not too long. 2:30, 2:45, something like that. It's
Departed.
really
I don't even
good.
care what your third choice is. It's Departed.
Django Unchained.
Departed.
is the third.
Departed is my
Departed.
choice.
Again, it's going to be a
I've not seen it,
Scorsese,
so
which
I'm fine with that.
I also haven't watched
You
The
think
Departed.
I'm not gonna-
in a really long
no,
time.
I'm saying no because Scorsese does the movie that you're going to pick,
Oh.
Oh yeah.
which is
That's
fine.
That's
Okay,
fine.
all right, we're going
Let's
with
do it.
Departed.
So tune in
The
next week to
Departed.
check in our review of The Departed. If you like this review, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to give us comments. What did you think about the movie? Did you think it sucked, or did you think that it was actually a really good
And what do you
adaptation?
think about the music? I don't know.
And
Tell them that it sucks.
the music. I guess you're gonna leave it a listen on Spotify. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, that's our show. Tune in next week for The Departed. I'll see you then.
Bye.
He'll see you. Just him.
Just me.
Yeah.